Welcome everyone to my lab. This is the Bake Scientist channel, where we explore the science behind baking and food, and mostly for you to understand how to discover the why so that you can know the how. Today is our very first Baking Basics episode. This Baking Basics episode will be how to measure dry ingredients. And dry ingredients such as flour, sugar, salt, baking powder, baking soda, those are the kind of dry ingredients. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into it. So the first thing we're going to do is look at the kitchen scale. This is a basic kitchen scale. It's only about $20 from like Target, Amazon, wherever. They're pretty cheap. So if you have a kitchen scale, I'm going to show you how to use it. So first thing you want to do is you want to turn it on. It's this on button here, but there's also a tare button and a unit button. First, let's turn it on. And see, now you can see it's on. It's 0 at 0 grams. And if you ever want to change this, then you press the unit button, and see when you press the unit button, it turns to kilograms, and then it goes to pounds and ounces. And once you turn it again, then it goes back to grams. So this is how you turn it to units if you ever need to. But the first thing you want to do is you want to get a bowl that you're going to put your ingredients in, and you want to put that on the scale. So once you put the bowl on the scale, you see there's a number here, weight, because the bowl has weight. So in order to make sure that's not there, so when we put our ingredients in, we know how much that weighs, we're going to have to tare it, which is zeroing it out. So you press the tare button, and now it's 0. So now we can start weighing our ingredients, and we will know exactly how much they weigh. So we're going to go ahead and put some ingredients in the bowl. And so now we see it's 4 grams. So now we see that there's weight. We've added our ingredients, we have the weight. So you can always add a second ingredient, and in order to do that, you just want to tare it again to zero it out with the bowl still on. So go ahead and tare. And now we can add a second ingredient, which also creates less dishes. So we add in the second ingredient, and now you see it's also weighing the second ingredient by itself, so now you know exactly how much you're adding. You always want to add your second ingredient to the side so that you can take out any extra if you accidentally put too much without it mixing with the other ingredient. So the first thing we're going to start measuring is flour. Now, flour is the main dry ingredient that's used in almost all baking, so it's important to know how to weigh it and measure it. So the first thing I want to do is show you guys the different kinds of tools you have. So we have a measuring cup, and we also have measuring glasses. So the glasses are actually more for liquids, and we will have another Baking Basics episode for wet ingredients. So stay tuned and subscribe so you can be on top when that comes, so you can make sure you get that when it drops. But we're going to go ahead and just focus on the actual plastic cup for this. So we can use these plastic cups for measuring flour, but the most important thing is to know how to use it properly. So the scale is actually the best way to weigh ingredients, because weight never changes. But if you don't have a scale, I'm going to show you how to use the measuring cup. And the one thing that's important to know is that 1 cup of flour is equivalent to about 120 grams. So that's important, so that you get as close as possible to that when you're using the cup. The first thing you want to do is most people try to scoop the flour out, and that actually packs it more. The one thing you want to do is you want to fluff your flour before you start measuring to incorporate some air. And so you want to fluff up your flour. You never want to pack, and you just want to pour it into your measuring cup with a secondary scoop. So fluff and pour, until you have your cup is full. Once your cup is full, once you've poured enough in there and your cup is full, you want to take the back of a butter knife and skim off the top of the flour. You don't want to push it down, you just want to skim it off so it's level, like this. And so now we have our cup of flour, and in order to see that it is equivalent to about 120 grams, let's go ahead and weigh it. So let's turn our scale on, and then we'll dump the flour in here and we'll see how much it weighs. Okay, so let's see. So if we put this flour in here, it's about 123 grams, which is pretty close to 120. So as you can see, the fluffing and the skimming is the way to do it. But let's go ahead and also see what happens when you do pack it, when you do take a scoop out. So if I were to go in here and scoop flour out, let's see how much it weighs compared to the 120 it's supposed to weigh. Let's skim off the top. same way. The only difference is we packed it by scooping out the container. Now let's weigh this and let's see what it looks like. So now the weight is 138 grams, which is way too much. Whatever you're baking is not going to come out properly with that much flour. So yes, it's always important to scoop and fluff. So now let's go ahead and talk about how to measure sugar. So we have white sugar, also called granulated sugar, and we have brown sugar. So you can't really fluff sugar because of the large crystals. So what you want to do is you want to scoop and pour into your cup, and then level off your spoon or your knife. 1 cup of sugar should be about 200 grams, and 1 cup of brown sugar, packed brown sugar, which is important, is 220 grams. So let's go ahead and scoop some sugar in here and level off with a butter knife, and we'll see how much that weighs. Get enough in your cup, you want to go ahead and just level it off with your butter knife, just like the flour. Now let's go ahead and weigh it. And this is about 200 grams, so 1 cup of sugar is equivalent to 200 grams. So for the brown sugar, it's important to make sure we pack the brown sugar because of the moisture in the brown sugar. It makes it a little fluffier. So we want to make sure that it's packed pretty tight. So we're pressing out all that extra air. And we're not weighing the air, we're just weighing the brown sugar itself. So what you want to do for brown sugar, the same as regular sugar, you're going to scoop it into your cup, but the only difference, you're going to pack it as you go. We're going to scoop a little bit, and then we're going to pack it down with the back of the spoon. Just a little more, and pack it down with the back of the spoon. Excuse my lab assistant. She was just eager to learn how to measure. It takes a little bit more as you're packing it, so just be aware of that when you're measuring brown sugar. You don't necessarily need to level this off, you just want to pack it to the top of the cup. You want to make sure it's level at the top of the cup. And then we're going to go ahead and weigh it. And it's about 220 grams, so there we go. So now we're going to go ahead and talk about when we measure small ingredients. So for these kind of ingredients, such as cornstarch, baking soda, baking powder, we usually use teaspoons and tablespoons just because with the basic kitchen scale, it's very hard to measure. There's smaller amounts that go down to like micrograms. So we're just going to go ahead and use teaspoons and tablespoons. So first, let's start with cornstarch. What you want to do is you want to scoop the cornstarch out and then level it off with the back of a butter knife, just the same as we did with the flour and sugar. And there's your tablespoon or teaspoon of cornstarch. And then with the baking soda, pretty much the same thing. You want to scoop, and then you can actually use the top of the box for your level, and you just pull it out, and you have your teaspoon of baking soda. And again, you can use a knife also. And last, we have our baking powder. And once again, you just scoop, and then I use the back of my lid because I have a lid that can do this, but you can also use a knife if you don't have a lid. So scoop, and as you can see, just level with the back of the lid. There's your teaspoon. Well, thank you all for joining us on this episode of The Baked Scientist. It was great, this first Baking Basics episode, and I would like if you guys could like and subscribe to keep up with our new episodes that are coming out, and go ahead and share the science with your friends. They would also love to learn from this. So until later, happy baking.